I'm Ella, and here's how everything started going sideways. It used to be just me, my little sister Lily, Mom, and Dad. Life was ordinary, nothing flashy, but it was ours. Dad worked fixing cars and Mom was a librarian until her friend, Janet, talked her into one of those personal growth workshops. It didn't take long for that to flip everything upside down. I remember the evening it all changed. We were sitting around the dinner table, a mix of laughter and the clinking of dishes filling the room. Dad had just cracked a joke about his day at the shop when Mom dropped her news. "I'm quitting my job at the library," she announced, reaching for the mashed potatoes as if she hadn't just dropped a bombshell. Dad paused, his fork halfway to his mouth. "Quit? Why the hell would you quit now, Karen?" Mom's eyes lit up with that scary kind of excitement. "I met some people at the seminar. They're into stock trading, real estate, all sorts of investments that could make us real money, not just pennies." "You're talking about gambling with our savings, Karen. That seminar's messing with your head," Dad snapped, his voice a mix of worry and anger. "It's not gambling, Tom. It's about taking risks to move forward. You're just too scared to see it," Mom fired back. That's how most dinners went after that seminar. Mom chasing dreams of big bucks and Dad trying to pull her back to reality. Their arguments got louder, rougher, and nothing like the parents I knew. One day, I came home from school to find Mom at the kitchen table, papers and her laptop spread out like she was plotting a takeover. "Hey, Mom, what's all this?" I asked, dropping my backpack. "It's my future, Elle. I'm done living paycheck to paycheck. It's time we live like the rich," she replied without looking up. "I've invested some money in a promising stock. And tomorrow, I'm meeting with a group about a real estate venture. It's all going to change for us, you'll see." I wanted to believe her, really. But it felt like we were stepping onto a roller coaster without any safety harnesses. And what if it doesn't work out? What happens then? Mom finally looked up, her gaze fierce. "It will work out. I'm making sure of it." Days turned into weeks, and the tension didn't let up. Dad hated the gambling, he called it that, no matter what fancy name Mom gave it. I'd hear them at night, their voices raised in another heated debate. "You're throwing away everything we've worked for, Karen. Those schemes are nothing but money pits. And you're just too chicken to seize a real opportunity, Tom. I'm trying to build something bigger here, and I don't need your negativity." Arguments between Mom and Dad were daily events, each more heated than the last. The stakes kept getting higher, and so did the tension. It was like living on a ticking time bomb, waiting for it to blow. One Thursday night, the air in the kitchen was thick enough to cut with a knife. Dad had just discovered Mom pulled a hefty sum from their joint savings account. I was trying to focus on my homework at the dining table, but the rising voices made it impossible. "Karen, where's the money from our savings? It's nearly half gone." Dad's voice boomed from the doorway as he slapped some papers on the table. Mom, who was chopping vegetables, didn't even flinch. "I invested it, Tom. It's going into a fund that promises triple the return. We talked about this." "No, you talked, and I said no. When will you stop this madness?" Dad was red in the face, his hands balled into fists. "It's not madness, it's opportunity. You'd know if you weren't so stubbornly glued to your penny-pinching ways." Mom shot back, her voice icy. I looked over at Lily, who was quietly doodling in her notebook, her small shoulders hunched up to her ears. It broke my heart to see her like this, trying to shut out the storm around her. "Your opportunities are bleeding us dry, Karen. We can't even pay this month's bills on time, because of your investments." Dad's voice cracked with frustration. "And we'll make up for it tenfold when the returns come in." "Just wait and see, Tom. Stop being such a pessimist," Mom retorted, slamming the knife down on the counter. Days passed, and the fights continued, each leaving a deeper mark than the last. I found myself dreading coming home after school, lingering at the library or wandering the streets just to avoid the constant tension. I was 2 years shy of graduation when the bomb dropped. It was a Saturday morning that seemed like any other until Dad found the bank statements. The air was thick with tension as he spread them across the kitchen table, his eyes scanning the numbers that made less sense with every glance. "What the hell is this, Karen?" Dad's voice was a mix of disbelief and rage as he looked up at Mom. Mom, who was sipping her coffee, looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. "Tom, I was going to tell you." "Tell me what? That you've gambled away Ella's college fund? Is that your big plan for financial freedom?" Dad threw the bank statement down, pointing at the glaring zero balance. "You've not just gambled with our money, Karen, you've gambled with our daughter's future." I was frozen by the entryway, Lily clutching my hand, both of us wide-eyed. This was worse than any argument before. This was about my life, my college, my escape plan from all this chaos. "This is it, Karen. I'm done. I can't do this anymore." Dad's voice was cold, resigned. Dad turned to me, his eyes filled with a sorrow that knotted my stomach. "I'm sorry, Ella. I tried." Within weeks, Dad was gone. He remarried quickly, moved to another city, and started over. He called at first, his voice always strained, always sorry. But Mom, ever the wounded warrior, blocked his number and painted him as the traitor. "Your father left us, girls. He doesn't care. He's not even paying alimony," Mom told us one evening, her tone bitter as she deleted his contact from my phone. With Dad gone and college now a distant dream, it was down to me to keep our ship from sinking. I picked up a job at the local diner, Benny's, a place where the coffee was bitter but the paycheck steady. Every cent I earned went straight to Mom, supposedly to help dig us out of the hole her gambling had buried us in. But despite handing over my pay, bills were piling up, and Mom was hardly ever home, always off chasing her next big score. One particularly long day had me coming home past midnight. The house was dark, Lily asleep on the sofa with books scattered around her. I gently woke her up to get her to bed, feeling a mix of anger and sorrow that she had to live like this. The next morning, still beat from the double shift, I found Mom at the kitchen table, scribbling in a notebook filled with numbers and schemes, none of which ever seemed to pan out. "Mom, what's for dinner tonight? I'm pulling another double, and I won't have time to cook," I asked, hoping for once she'd taken care of something, anything. She didn't look up, just kept on scribbling. "Don't eat here, eat at work. And you should get Lily a job there too. We could use the extra money." Her words hit me like a slap. "Are you serious? She's only 14, Mom. And my job is to make sure she doesn't have to work, that she gets to be a kid as long as she can." Mom shrugged, still not looking at me. "Needs must, Ella. We're drowning here." That evening, after my shift, I spotted Mom outside a flashy new casino downtown. She was arguing with a bouncer, her face flushed and angry as she was escorted out. "Mom," I called out, running over. "What are you doing?" She rounded on me, her eyes wild. "I was so close, Ella. I have a system, downloaded it off the net. It's foolproof, Ella. I just need to tweak it a bit, and then we'll be rolling in it. You think you're gonna win big, but it's all a scam. It's designed to make you lose, Mom. The house always wins, not us." She scoffed, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, and you know better? Working at a diner is gonna save us? At least it's real money, Mom. It's honest work, not this fantasy you're chasing. You're addicted." Mom's face hardened. "I'm not addicted. I'm trying to fix our lives. You'll see. Tomorrow, I'll prove it." With that, she stormed off, leaving me standing alone on the street. I walked home slowly, each step heavier than the last. I had to accept it, Mom wasn't going to change. It was up to me to keep Lily safe and try to scrape together some semblance of a future. But as I unlocked our front door to the sight of bills and final notices stacked up, I couldn't help but feel we were one losing hand away from losing everything. With Lily's birthday coming up, I threw myself into extra shifts at the diner. She had been upset lately, feeling left out because her clothes weren't as nice as her classmates. I wanted to buy her something special, something beautiful that would make her feel confident and happy on her day. I had a little box, a plain, old shoebox, where I stashed away every extra dollar I could spare. I hid it well under my bed, buried beneath winter clothes and old notebooks. It was supposed to be a surprise, a good surprise, not like the ones Mom kept springing on us. 2 days before Lily's birthday, while I was at work, I got a frantic text from her. It just read, "Come home now, it's Mom." My stomach dropped. I swapped shifts with a friend and rushed home, my mind racing with what could have gone wrong this time. I arrived to shouting. The front door was open, and I could hear Mom's voice booming from inside my room. As I stepped in, the scene before me was chaos. Clothes and papers were strewn everywhere, and there was Mom, holding the shoebox, her face twisted in anger. "You selfish little rat," Mom was screaming as I walked in. "Stealing from your own family, hoarding money like it's all yours." "What? No, Mom, let me explain," I tried, but she cut me off. "Explain? Explain how you hide money while we're drowning in debt. You think you're better than me? That you can just do whatever you want? That money was for Lily, for her birthday." I shouted back, trying to make her understand, but it was like talking to a storm. Lily was crying by the doorway, her small frame shaking. "Mom, please, Ella was doing it for me, for my birthday." Mom turned on her, eyes blazing. "Oh, so you knew? Great. Both my daughters are conspiring against me. What a great family I have." "It's not like that, Mom. We just wanted—" Lily tried to speak, but Mom wasn't having any of it. "I can't trust either of you." Mom threw the box down, and the few bills fluttered to the floor. "Get out. If you're going to steal from me, then you can't stay here." So, we packed, tears and silence filling the space between us. We grabbed what we could, clothes, a few books, anything that felt necessary. As we stepped out, I looked back to see Mom drawing the curtains sharply, blocking us from view. Her final gesture of shutting us out. Lily clutched her small bag tightly, her eyes large and worried in the dim street light. "Ella, we should call Dad," she murmured, her voice a mixture of hope and fear. I hesitated, the old bitterness and Mom's harsh words about Dad abandoning us echoing in my head. But desperation clawed at my chest, and the reality was, we had nowhere else to go. "Okay," I said, finally, pulling out my battered phone, scrolling through contacts I hadn't touched in years. Finding his number felt like unearthing a relic from another life. My thumb hovered over the call button, a lifeline so desperately needed, yet so heavy with past grievances. I pressed call, before I could change my mind. The line clicked, and then his voice, warm and unfamiliar, filled my ear. "Hello? Dad, it's Ella, and Lily. We need help," I blurted out, the words tumbling in a rush. "Mom, she kicked us out. We have nowhere to go." There was a pause, heavy and thick. Then, softly but firmly, he said, "I'm sending you money for train tickets right now. Come to me. We'll figure this out together." True to his word, the money came through minutes later. We booked tickets for the next train to where Dad lived, a city that felt worlds away from our troubles, but in reality, was just a few hours by rail. The train ride was quiet, both of us lost in our thoughts. Upon arriving, the sight of Dad waiting at the station, his face lined with concern, was almost too much. He looked the same, yet so different. Beside him stood his new wife, Claire, her smile warm but cautious. "Dad," I managed, my voice thick as he pulled us into a tight hug. "Let's get you girls home," he said, leading us to his car. At the house, a modest but welcoming place, we sat down in the living room, the air filled with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Dad's wife excused herself, leaving us to talk. It was then, in the soft light of the living room, that we poured out everything, the fights, the schemes, the eviction. Dad listened, his expression growing darker with each word. When we finished, he was silent for a long moment. Then he reached out, taking both my hands in his. "I didn't know," he said quietly, his voice heavy with guilt. I've been sending money for alimony and your education every month. I had no idea that you were going through all this. Lily and I exchanged glances, the pieces clicking into place, the missing money, the lies. It was too much to take in all at once. I'm sorry, Dad continued, his eyes moist. I should have seen through it. I should have been there. It's not your fault, Dad, I said, feeling the weight lift slightly with each word spoken. We're here now. That's what matters. Dad nodded, squeezing my hands. You're right. And I'll make it right. Ella, we'll get you enrolled in college. And Lily, there's a great school just a few blocks from here. You'll like it, I promise. The relief was palpable, both of us letting out breaths we hadn't realized we'd been holding. Lily leaned forward, wrapping her arms around Dad in a fierce hug. I joined in, and for a moment, the world didn't seem so cold and harsh. The next morning, gathered around the breakfast table in Dad's kitchen, the sunlight spilled over like a promise. Claire, who I learned was a lawyer, brewed coffee while chatting about the local school system, her voice smooth and reassuring. So, you girls will be needing some guidance, Claire began, pouring herself a cup. Your fathers told me everything, and I want you to know I'm here to help, legally, personally, whatever you need. Lily, munching on her toast, looked up with a hopeful glance. Does that mean you can stop Mom from? Her voice trailed off, but the question hung in the air, heavy and fraught with past pains. Claire set down her coffee, her expression serious yet kind. Yes, Lily. I'm going to make sure she can't pull you back into that mess. We're filing for full custody and ensuring the alimony will no longer fall into unreliable hands. The conversation shifted to lighter topics, plans for the school year, and my college prep. I had started reading again, dusting off old textbooks and filling my head with knowledge that had nothing to do with survival. It felt strange, yet exhilarating. Lily got enrolled in a nearby school and, with Claire's help, started in fresh, new clothes that made her beam with confidence each morning she set off. 3 months after our world turned upside down, while I was deep in a study session, my phone rang. Seeing Mom's number flash on the screen churned my stomach. Ella? Mom's voice was shrill, frantic. They took her from me, Ella. They say I can't be Lily's mother anymore. And they want the alimony back, the money they claim I stole. Her words, once capable of manipulating my emotions, now fell flat, filtered through the clarity of distance and truth. Mom, you did take that money. Money that was meant for us, for our future. You used us. Mom's voice turned harsh, venomous. Ungrateful girl. You come back here and work, pay off these debts. It's the least you owe me. I felt the old pull, the trained instinct to soothe, to placate. But I wasn't that person anymore. No, Mom. I don't owe you anything. Dad's been paying you for years, and you lied to us, to everyone. I'm done. I hung up before she could respond, before I could hear the sobbing or the anger that might pull me back in. Turning off my phone, I sat for a moment in the quiet of Dad's study, the weight of the call sinking in. I'd stood up for myself, for Lily. It was a new feeling, scary but empowering. Then I turned back to my books, the pages less daunting now. I was building something new, something mine. The past would always be a part of me, but it would not define my future, not anymore. As Dad had promised, he supported me through college, covering tuition so I could focus on my studies without the crushing weight of debt. Yet, despite the financial safety net he provided, old habits die hard. I couldn't shake off the need to support myself. I picked up a part-time job at a local cafe, balancing work with my courses. It felt good, earning my keep, keeping busy. Claire, Dad's wife, turned out to be more than just a steely lawyer. She became the family anchor we didn't know we were missing. For Lily, she was there at every school event, clapping louder than anyone. For me, she showed up at my college, attending every significant ceremony. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, I couldn't help but express my gratitude. Claire, I don't know how to thank you. You've been there for every parent-teacher meeting, every recital. It means the world to us. Claire smiled, passing me the salad. It's no big deal, Ella. You girls are my family now. I'm just doing what any parent would do. The years rolled on, each semester a new challenge, but also a new opportunity to prove how far I'd come. By my final year, I'd managed to earn a scholarship, covering my tuition fully. Yet, I kept the job at the cafe. Not just for the money, but for the sense of normalcy it gave me. One morning, while wiping down tables before opening, my boss, Jerry, a gruff man who'd run the cafe for decades, nodded approvingly at me. You're one of the good ones, Ella. Always pushing, always striving. Proud to have you here. Thanks, Jerry. It's been good for me, you know? Keeps me grounded. Graduation day arrived quicker than I had anticipated. As I stood there, cap and gown fluttering slightly in the spring breeze, I saw them, Dad, Claire, and Lily, their faces alight with pride and joy. Walking across that stage, I wasn't just receiving a diploma, I was stepping into a new chapter, one I had written for myself against odds that once seemed insurmountable. With a degree in hand and a job lined up, I moved into a small apartment in the city. It was modest, but mine. Claire helped me move in, fussing over the placement of furniture and decorations. This is a fresh start, Ella. Make it yours, she advised as we arranged the last of the books on a new shelf. I plan to, Claire. Really make it something special. Life settled into a new rhythm after college, with my days filled with the constant motion of working at a courier company. The job was demanding but rewarding, and I appreciated the stability and decent paycheck it offered. One afternoon, as I was finishing up my rounds, my phone rang. The familiar number that flashed on the screen made my heart sink. Mom. Taking a deep breath, I answered, bracing myself for what was coming. Ella, I need your help. Mom's voice was urgent, tinged with desperation. What's going on? I asked, though part of me already guessed the answer. I've lost the house, Ella. The bank took it because I couldn't keep up with the payments. I'm on the streets now, she confessed, her voice breaking. The news hit hard, even though part of me had been waiting for the other shoe to drop for years. Mom, I'm sorry to hear that, but I just need some money to get back on my feet, to cover my debts. You can help me, can't you? Her voice was pleading now, the familiar cadence of manipulation threading through her words. I paused, the weight of our past and her choices pressing down on me. Mom, I can help you get treatment for your gambling. That's what you need, not more money to chase your losses. Her response was immediate and visceral, laced with anger. You ungrateful brat. After all I've done for you, you'd let your own mother live on the streets? Mom, that's not fair, and you know it. I'm offering real help. Please, take it. My voice was firm, the years of being manipulated hardening me to her guilt trips. She cursed, venom pouring through the line, every word sharper than the last. I held the phone away from my ear, her fury a stark reminder of why we'd drifted so far apart. Finally, I spoke, my own voice calm but resolute. I'm sorry you feel that way, Mom. I hope one day you'll get the help you need. With that, I hung up and did something I should have done years ago. I blocked her number. The rest of the day passed in a blur. By the time I met up with Lily at our usual coffee spot, my thoughts were a tangled mess. Lily noticed immediately. Hey, what's wrong? Her concern was evident as she reached across the table, covering my hand with hers. It's Mom, I began, and poured out the entire conversation, her demands, her fury, and my decision to finally cut ties. Lily was quiet for a long moment after I finished, her expression thoughtful. Then, she squeezed my hand gently. You did the right thing, Ella. It's hard, but it's right. She's not the person we once loved. She's made her choices. I nodded, feeling the truth of her words. It hurts, Lil. It feels like I'm abandoning her, but I know she's abandoned herself a long time ago. Sometimes, the hardest decisions are the ones that save us, Lily said softly, wisdom beyond her years in her eyes. You're choosing not to drown with her. We have our own lives to live. Her words settled something deep within me. I was tired of the cycle of hope and disappointment that came with every call from Mom. It was time to break free, to truly start anew. As we left the coffee shop, the evening air felt fresher, lighter, as if an affirmation of my decision. I knew the road wouldn't always be smooth, but I was ready to face it head on, to build, dream, and believe in the best of what was yet to come.